name is Melissa with momsofblack.com, and today we're actually going to be showing you how to make your own sports theme wreath. So the sports team for our area is the Seattle Seahawks, so that is actually going to be the sports theme wreath that we're going to be showing you how to do today. But with different coloring, different letters, you can alter it to make your own team's wreath if you need to. Okay, let's make this. So we got this wire wreath. I don't know what you would call it. It's in the floral department. This one was $2.99. We could also find coupons on it. So we're gonna turn this into looking like one of these. So these, I've already basically put all of the pipe cleaners around. So I specifically got blue for this one. These are my leftover pipe cleaners that I had, so I just used the leftover ones. But it doesn't really matter. It's just, for me, this is a lot cheaper than buying those wreaths that come with the pipe cleaners already attached. Those usually run you about $6.99 or $7.99. So with this, you could get a whole bag of pipe cleaners for 89 cents. Has about 25 pieces in it. And then you could get a mesh ring for $2.99. And of course, with the coupon, it would be even less. So we just take the tag off. So I usually actually only use half a pipe cleaner because this is pretty big to be using. You can see how big it gets. So by just cutting in half is a good size, so then I can make a lot of wreaths out of a pack of 25 pipe cleaners. So then we just start wrapping on the outside like this. So then when you have the mesh that will come through, you basically do a twist and it'll hold it to this. So just go around and add these pipe cleaners. So then when you do make your wreath with the mesh, it'll be a lot easier as you go, and then it'll be a lot more uniformed also. So we go through all the conjunction points on the outside, and then on the inside I put one in the middle. They do slide around, but that's okay. Once you get your wreath and your mesh on and put together, it'll actually hold pretty well. Or if you want to, you could always sit there and put a dab of glue on the back side just to sit there and glue it to the wire. So I just put it on and do a twist on these inner ones. Okay, so now that we basically got all of the pipe cleaners all the way around, this is actually what's going to grab our material here. So we just open up one of these. So let's see. So this is 21 inches by 40 feet, and this is a pretty bright green, just for our Seahawks colors. And then we need to take the tape off. And you could basically do any type of pattern, wreaths, like mesh or theme, Christmas, Halloween, doesn't matter. It just seems like right now we have a lot of people really into football, so I get a lot more people asking for football theme wreaths right now. Okay, so right here I just bunched up the end really good. And then I sit there and you just let the ball on the ground, it doesn't really matter. Just tie it to, you start from the outer And all of this actually will be hidden too. So most of this, you actually won't see these pipe cleaners after we're done. Okay, and usually for the first one, I like to twist it so that the tail end is actually on the inside. So I don't know if you could see that. So the tail be facing the way that I'm going to start heading. So we do the outside first, and you want to make this pretty big because we're actually going to use one whole roll on this. And scrunch it up and move on to the next one. And then I'll just play with it and see if that's as big as you want it. You could go bigger and it'll stick out a lot further. But I think for me, they'll be pretty good because that means it's going to stick out on both sides. Probably about, I don't know, 8 inches. So a lot of these wreaths actually ends up being 30 inches or more. I've made some pretty big wreaths with this mesh for, not really for the door, but for people's fireplace mantles. And they actually turn out looking really good. Okay. You just want to make sure that they come out almost the same. Yeah, that's pretty good. The same amount because you don't want big and small loops. Okay, so this is my last loop to finish the outside. And that's why actually I don't tuck in the pipe cleaners after twisting it. Because if I want to add more later to it, at least I still have it out. And then when I'm all done, then I'll actually tuck all those away. Okay. So we got the whole outer done now. Now we're actually going to go and take the same ribbon that we're using, the same mesh, and actually start heading on the inside. So if it's a two-tone, like there's a front and a back side, you need to make sure that the back, the front stays on the front via pattern, but this is actually shiny on both sides. So there's actually no back and front to this one. So then we have our pipe cleaners here. I don't know if you can see that inside. And just the first one over heading the same direction, we will actually tie it to. Okay, so you don't have to worry about too much about fluffing it out quite yet. Maybe towards the end you could do a little bit more fluffing and finessing. And then we'll just move on. We just cut it off, and you actually, some people they toss it, but I save it because I actually use that as a background just in case I make letters or names or whatever and I want to glue it to something, and then this will make it pretty good. So let's see here. Okay, so let me get my scissors. And here, this is our last one, and here's our end here. There we go. And then you just make sure you save this just in case you need to use it for something else. Okay, so now that we got that, make sure this is all tied in pretty good. And then usually what I do is I try to twist this one a little bit so then it hides it. I don't know if you saw that. But I twisted the tail inside so you can't even really see the tail at all now. So now it just looks like a big green blob. So you want to start finessing with these. So usually it'll go inner ribbon, then you'll have your outer ribbon. And then I flex that. And then you take your inner ribbon. Then you take your outer ribbon. So you just do it like that all the way through, and you can kind of see how it's starting to look more uniform and a lot neater. Okay, so right here you could see that it's all done for the one color. So now we're actually going to look for and put the second color in. So I still have, if you pull these apart here, I still have those pipe cleaners, and I didn't tuck those away quite yet because we're going to be actually attaching the second color ribbon to these, and we're actually going to go every other one. So we're going to go outer, then we're going to go inner, then we're going to go outer, then inner. So let's start getting the blue ribbon. Okay, so we get our blue ribbon here. And same thing like what you did on the other one, you squish them together. And I'll just start with this middle one here, or the inner one. And at this point, you do tuck. You tuck your pipe cleaners inside so you don't see them. And then I do give it a little twist so the tail is pointing the direction I'm going, so I'll be on the inside. So I have the inner, then I gotta look for an outer, so I'll do one over here. So basically you could do it every single one, every other pipe cleaner, whatever type that you like. And the good thing about this, if you do make a mistake, you can always undo this. I've done that before, not realizing I had enough, so I undid the whole thing and just started all over again. It's pretty forgiving. Okay, then we go inner. Okay, so before I cut it off, I want to make sure that's the last bit of ribbon I want to use. Let's see. I think that is probably about good enough. I don't think I would want to add any more. I'm just going to twist that tail you have right in here. See that tail? We don't want to see that. So what we do is we just give it a little twist and kind of hide it inside. So it's gone now. You really can't see it. So this is actually what it looks like without any other stuff. Might have to move this back. Let's see here. See, it's pretty large, so I don't know if you would want to keep this outside on the door, or you could try to make a smaller one. But these are our Seahawks colors. Most of the Seahawks wreaths I make is actually all blue, with this being the green. But this time I decided just to do a little different. So next we're going to actually start decorating this. So stay tuned. Okay, so we got all of these letters painted with 2 coats of the white and then the 1 coat of the sparkle clear on it. So you could kind of see that there's a shimmer to it. It's not too sparkly, but it's just enough. So now we're actually going to start curving this, and I'm actually going to hot glue it onto some bright green ribbon. So I got my hot glue gun already warming up. I'll bring up my green ribbon. Okay, so I usually leave like about 2 inches just so I could play with it, so I don't glue anything this close over here. I do it further out. And then usually what I do is I actually flip all the letters upside down. Let me make sure I got this right. And then I just space them out a little bit, because first we're actually going to glue the very top. So we're going to have 2 strips of ribbon. So first we're going to have them straight, and we're just going to glue the top. Once we get the top glued, then we're going to glue a second ribbon, and then we're going to just start bending it. So it'll do the arch at the top of the wreath. So this is for the Seattle Seahawks. Let's see if my glue gun is ready. So I just put it on a couple letters at a time. I just got to straighten this one here. Then you could take whatever to push. The Seahawks we're actually going to glue on the bottom, because we're going to be bending the Seahawks upwards on the wreath. So we're going to start on the bottom with our first ribbon and spacing them out. You want enough space because when you bend it, it's going to start touching, so you don't want it too close where it can't really bend that well. You want enough space in between, probably about 1/4 of an inch between each letter, so they have plenty of room to bend. Okay, I'm going to get my next piece of ribbon here. You could use yarn, you could use just whatever you want. I just found this ribbon and I got it pretty cheap, so I figured I might as well just use this instead of my yarn. Oops. then again, we're going to come through with our ribbon and our glue. Move that down there. Actually, I went to a home show in Everett recently, and a lady was selling these wreaths, these Seahawks wreaths, since everyone is so excited about our team winning the Super Bowl last year. And she was charging, the minimum she was charging was $100 a wreath. And I was like, holy moly, that's a lot, $100 a wreath. And then she would go get, like, in the wooden aisle in the craft store, you could find these, you know, letters in different shapes, like hearts and stars and different things like that. So she found the letter D and then found a little picket fence and just painted it white and then put defense on the wreath. I thought that was a really cute idea. So maybe in a future video we'll do that. I just finished up gluing the ribbon on the back and arching them on both of them. So we'll have this being able to arch up. If you want to arch more, you can always do that when it gets onto the wreath. So for right now, we're just going to have it like this. And then we have the 12 for the 12th man here. And we're actually going to put the 12th man right in the middle of the wreath. And then on the sides, I'm probably not going to do the 12th man on this, but I found these images on the internet, and I basically just printed them off on gloss photo paper and then laminated them. So I actually bought the laminator on Amazon on sale, so it was actually pretty cheap. So now I laminate everything, it seems like. So I'll probably do like maybe a helmet on this side facing in, and then like little football here that I put some glitter on to make it more sparkly. So now that we kind of got our layout what we want, now we actually have to set all this aside and get our wreath back onto the table. So let's move all this. And get our wreath back here. Okay. So be careful with your hot glue gun. You don't want hot glue gun glue all over. So now what you have to do is actually find a good spot for the letters. The Seattle Seahawks actually is what determines what way your wreath is going to go. So it seems like there's more surface over here for it to glue on. So I'm probably actually going to have that as my top. Well, let me see. Okay, maybe I'll have this as my top and then this is my bottom, because you want to be able to glue these on here. Let me move this in real quick here so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I got my letters all stationed where I want them. And get your bottom row going too, so you can kind of get a visual. So I'll probably have the S's touch this other blue ribbon over here. So we'll just start off with the Seattle. And I usually put glue on the back of each letter that touches any material. And just be careful not to burn yourself, because it can happen pretty easily. And then I usually kind of push from the other side, make sure I get some good contact. Oops. Okay. So let's see here. I'm gonna have to glue that S somehow. Probably just do it down here. The more surface it has for the letters to glue on, the better. So they're more secure. Okay, so now let's do the Seahawk. So I'm actually probably going to start from the middle and work my way out, just to make sure that the glue has a chance to dry and cool down. Just going to touch this to make sure. Yeah, I think that's going to be good. And then I come over here, and the E is actually going to be floating, and that's why we put it on these ribbons, is because if we didn't, there'd be no way of adhering this to the wreath. And again, make sure you don't burn yourself. And then I usually just hold that for a couple seconds. Okay. Just hold that there, make sure it dries and cools down, and then after it all dries, you start pulling off all these spider webs, I call them. Okay, I'm probably not going to glue the W and the E because there's not really any wreath material, so I'm just going to let that sit and dry. So I'll pull off some of these spider webs here. And next is the 12. Just try to find a good spot for it to sit in. Probably right there. And this is why it's really good to have this backing material, so it has more surface for it to actually stick. So I usually start from the top and I glue that in place, and then I come back and glue the bottom piece. Okay, let that dry for a little bit. So anything that's kind of touching it, I want to try to glue it to the wreath here. Okay. Next we will take our football helmet, probably just set it here on the side, and then the football on this other side here. If you need to fluff the ribbon, trying to get more surface for it to stick on, that's fine. This one I want some more surface, but this one is good. And I just put a bunch of hot glue on the back and just push down. I think it's dry. Okay. And now we're doing our football. And this is actually just a foam football you get at the craft store, and like I think it came in a pack of 10. And then I just basically put Elmer's glue on it and sprinkled some glitter just to make it stand out a little bit more. And after we're done that, then we cut these little tails off as close as you can so you don't really see it. Let's see. If you want it, you could also add like glittery stars or other little things, but I find that if you leave it more simple, it actually looks a lot better. So let's go try hanging it on the wall.